Hello, Miss Thompson. Hello, Miss Mikilis. I am Aman Arham, and I am from period 1A. This is my 73rd attempt. I'm just kidding. This is actually my first attempt. So let's move on with my anthem presentation. I'm going to give you some voiceover information, extra information, and I'm going to have some reading that I'll give you guys time to read. So yeah, let's continue with the presentation. So I included this as an extra, which is the entire anthem summary of the book. So here it is, and I'll give you. It's basically about equality 72521 and the golden one. Go on an astonishing adventure to find the true meaning of self. I'll give you a few seconds to read this summary and get a more in-depth summary of the entire book. Okay. Now on to the main part of my presentation, which is the what and how process. I chose part 4 to analyze, and I'm going to start off with the what, which is basically a summary of the part I did. So I'll give you a few more seconds to read this summary too. Okay, now on to the how process, where my voiceover, where the voiceover will will be used more. Yeah, basically. So okay, my first element I'm going to start off with is diction. And my first example of diction is so the women of the field were weary. The diction affects the reader by showing that the women in the background are extremely tired after working. The word weary gives a negative tone towards the text since it's saying that the women are incredibly tired since they either did not get enough sleep or did too much work. Also, this is talking about women working, which is kind of back in time in the past. So the reader will think this is back in time and think negatively because women aren't supposed to work. Men are supposed to do all the work. Not saying that women can't do work, but men should do the work for the women. And yeah, so the word worry creates a big difference if you're replaced with tired, because tired has somewhat of a more positive meaning since it's saying not too tired, but weary is saying like someone's extremely tired, like tired to the point they don't want to work anymore. So that's why it has a negative tone and mood. The second example of diction I have is we saw that their eyes so hard and scornful to the world. The diction used in this example is showing the reader that the person is staring towards the world almost like she wants to harm or threaten the world. The word scornful gives a negative tone towards the sentence since the word is related to violence. Anything related to violence is very, very bad. Because of this word, the whole tone of the sentence is changed. Now, on to my second element, which is imagery. And the first example of my imagery is the golden one bowed slowly, and they stood still before us, their arms at their sides, the palms of their hands turned to us, as if their body were delivered in submission to our eyes. The imagery in this quote gives an insight on how both of their love is continuing to grow. The reader can picture the golden one bowing, which allows the reader to understand that the golden one is doing this for respect. The imagery creates a positive tone towards the text that makes the reader think positive thoughts due to the thought of respect. Whenever someone thinks of respect, they think positive. So, respect causes a positive mood and tone. My second example of imagery is then they knelt by the moat. They gathered water in both hands. They rose and they held the water out to our lips. The imagery in this example shows more love sprouting to each other. The reader can imagine this, and see that the golden one cares for equality 72521, which is basically loving for each other. And when you think of love, you think positive thoughts. Actually, not very positive thoughts. So the mood and tone would be very positive, more like a caring, sweet tone and sweet mood. This is an important part of their story because this is where their love for each other grows. Okay, my final element, which is syntax. There are many examples of syntax in this book, but in the part, one of them is we have given you a name on our thoughts, Liberty 3000. The quote has a quote inside of it that's said by Equality 72521. As you can see, there's a quotation, two quotation marks, and then there's also sub quotation marks, if that's what you call it. If that's not what you call it, please correct me in class. Okay. Yeah, where was I? Yes. This is a quote. The quote was said by Equality 72521. The syntax causes the reader to comprehend and actually comprehend, unlike the others, which was kind of self explanatory. Um, the reason that the reader has to comprehend is because the phrasing of this is kind of past tense, or maybe in the future, but probably in the past tense, and it's weird and different than what we word it now. So after the reader comprehends what the author is saying, he'll understand that um, the syntax causes a positive tone, and if without the comprehension, if you looked at the word liberty, that gives a positive tone towards the text, because liberty. When I think of liberty, I think of determination. So that's what most readers would think. I think. And yeah, the reader will also know that there's an internal connection between both equality 72521 and the golden one, since they're talking about internal thoughts that they have about each other. The second example of syntax that I found in part 4 is, but you think such thoughts as these and you wish us to think them. The example shows that equality 72521 is saying something that causes other people to think the same thought too. That's kind of self-explanatory. The reader will be confused at first, but like before, but then once the reader realizes that equality, once the reader realizes he'll actually understand the equality 2521 is thinking thoughts that influence the golden one. This example has a neutral tone because there's nothing in the sentence that like differentiates it as negative or positive. It's more neutral mood and tone. Well, thank you for listening to my presentation, Miss Bakeless and Miss Thompson. And this is the end. So I hope you enjoyed it and have a nice day.